Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm going to wait a couple of seconds as people start to filter into the room. Thank you for joining us today, this morning. Happy Friday. Perfect. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. Good morning. Welcome to the second Post-YLF Activities workshop. Today's topic is career planning and work-based learning. We have a very exciting and interactive presentation today. Just a few house rules and logistics. This Zoom session is being recorded and will be posted to our YLF YouTube page for those who were unable to attend today. And for those who are attending and just want to revisit the presentation, you can check out our YLF YouTube page for this recording as well as our other recordings. If you have a question, you can use the Q&A feature. If you would like to use the chat feature to do shout outs or ask questions, you can do that as well. We are going to have some opportunities for gift cards and prizes throughout the presentation. So make sure you're actively listening to the presentation so you can get your opportunity to possibly win one of those gift cards. And we'll be utilizing the chat feature for those responses. So stay tuned for those. And with that, oh, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Matt Baker. I am one of the co-chairs of the Post-YLF Activities Committee, and I will pass the mic to my other co-chair to introduce today's speaker.
Thank you, Matt. Hello, everyone. Good morning. We are glad that you're able to join us today. And we're going to get started right away. We have an amazing presenter to talk to us about the career path. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jessica Medina from Sacramento Employment Training Agency.
All righty. Thank you, Johnny, for the introduction. Appreciate it. I'm happy to be here with you all. As Johnny stated, my name is Jessica Medina, and I am a workforce development planner with the Sacramento Employment and Training Agency and Sacramento Works. So today we are going to be talking about planning for career success. This is a workshop centered on workforce development and career development. So let's go ahead and get into it. I am going to take one quick minute, if that's okay with you all here, to share my screen so that we can go ahead and get started on the presentation. So let's go ahead and move on to today's
Jessica?
agenda.
Sorry to interrupt, Jessica. Just real quick, before we get started, we're actually going to wait a quick second while we set up the captioner. It seems that we're having some technical issues getting the captions to show. So if you could just bear with us just 1 second while we figure that out.
Yes, no worries. Thank you for letting me know. Yes, it's definitely important that we get that set up properly so that everybody can have access to the material. All right. I'm not sure where everybody's joining in from, but I hope that wherever you are in a nice and cool space. Here in Northern California, we've been having quite hot days. So I hope that everybody, is being able to take advantage of whatever air conditioning or shade they might have in their yard, because I know here in Northern California, it's gotten quite hot. Alrighty. Well, while we wait, I think it would be okay if I share a story with all present here today, just talking a little bit about my own career journey. I am a social worker. I have a degree in social work from Sacramento State University. However, I happened to start in the field when I was 18 because I actually participated in an internship program that my high school offered. And so I actually was a student that participated in a work-based learning program through my high school. And it was a program that I had learned about through a friend. And they had let me know that their teacher had recommended them for a program. And then they shared that program with me. And that is how I got involved in an internship program in high school. And through that, I learned a lot of different I met a lot of different professionals and learned a lot of different things. And that's what kind of made me go from switching my major from history, planning to be a history teacher, to social work. So today, in today's presentation, we're going to be talking about work-based learning. And so because of that, I felt that it was appropriate to share my story with you all. Because there definitely are a lot of resources at different educational campuses that if you learn about them and take advantage of them and start networking, they really can lead you to a career. Probably not one that you plan for, but one that will be well suited to you and satisfying to your interest as well.
Okay, Jessica, this is Matt. We're good to go. It looks like the captions are working again. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. I hope everybody enjoyed that short story while we waited. So let's go ahead and get into the presentation. I want to go ahead and make sure that I am sharing the correct screen. Everybody should be able to see today's agenda. Today's workshop is going to have four main components that we are exploring. We are going to begin exploring and defining terms in the world of work, and we are also going to be talking about the career planning process and also the principles of career planning. We're going to be briefly touching on learning about yourself and completing assessments in order to learn about yourself. And we are also going to be investigating and exploring the world of work and how you, as a student, can gain exposure to the world of work and prepare for the world of work. So let's go ahead and start off. If we can just have take a moment to all engage in a poll. This poll is going to populate shortly on the screen, and the poll asks, why is work important? What do we as humans, as individuals, get out of work? Let's go ahead and take a moment. If you can look at the screen, and if you are here live with us, please go ahead and make some selections about what you think a job provides to individuals. Why do you think work is important? We're going to take some time to allow voting. Please go ahead and vote. All right, I see that for the most part, most of you are voting. We're getting responses in. Great. Good. All right, polls are open. And so on this one, you actually can do multiple choice. So you can actually, if you think that two or three options that you see on the screen for the poll are true, then you can go ahead and make multiple selections. All right. Okay, looks like we're a minute in. We're going to go ahead and give 10 more seconds. Please go ahead and get your answers in, and then we are going to close the poll and share the answers, the responses. For anybody who may be having difficulty reading the poll, some of the options are work is important because it offers a feeling of worthiness by contributing to society. Another option is it provides meaningful days for individuals. Another option is it is a place to learn and practice social skills and responsibility. Work is a way to combat isolation, loneliness, and depression. Work may also be important because it can be a role into the adult world. Um, and it can be a way for you to obtain money for personal luxuries or needs, such as a car or clothes, jewelry, and travel. It can be a way to support your family, a partner, provide housing and food, or to simply have finances to live independently. So we are going to go, those are the different options that everybody had to select from. We are now going to go ahead and close and share the results. Oh, actually, it looks like we're sharing the results. Sorry, my apologies. So it looks like for the most part, everybody present live um, thinks that the biggest reason that work is important is because it helps us have a sense of worthiness, knowing that we are contributing to society, and that's true. It's very important. It's a big role of working is knowing that we are doing something, engaging our time, engaging our skills, our mental power into something that is meaningful to society and helps improve society or helps improve our community. And so, yes, that is a reason why work is important. It seems like the second most popular response selected. It looks like we have a tie for second place, and that is that it provides a role in the adult world. Yes, this is true. A lot of times when we're young people, when we're teens, young adults, a lot of times, getting that first job is very exciting. We know that when we get a job, we're going to have our own paycheck. We're going to be able to spend our money how we like, maybe treat ourselves to different things, maybe sporting goods or experiences with our friends and family. And so, and we're also going to be able to take care of some of our own needs and not need, perhaps a guardian or a parent to cover the cost of something that you need. And so, not surprising that that was tied for second place. And then we also had to finance to live independently. Yes. So yes, definitely when you have your first job, that's definitely something that I know you're excited about, whether that's your first job as a teenager or even your first job in a different industry. Maybe you've only worked part-time, then you land your first full-time role. That's all very exciting. And yes, these are all reasons why work is important, but it's nice to explore what were the top ones. So thank you all who are here live and for engaging in that poll. And if you're watching this recording, take some time to ponder why work would be important to you if you're not working currently, or if you are working, why is it important? What do you enjoy about it? What does it provide to you? All right, thank you. So we are going to go ahead and now exit the poll and move on to the next slide. Went too ahead. So we are going to talk a little bit about exploring this question. Where do you want to work? And this is a question that many of us may have heard since childhood. And this is also a question where, interestingly enough, the answer can and will change. So if you all who are here with us today can take some time to think of some answers you've had in the past. If you feel comfortable, please go ahead and put them in the chat box to share what some of your answers may have been in the past, or maybe what they are right now. I know that when I was younger in my teens, I definitely wanted to be something different every week. Some weeks I wanted to be a veterinarian. Another week I wanted to be a lawyer. Another week I wanted to be a preschool teacher. Another week I wanted to be a travel blogger. So this, that for me personally, is something that when I was younger changed a lot, and I think that it was greatly influenced by the types of media that I took in, the types of TV shows and movies that I took in, but particularly also if I ever saw the news interview anybody, it definitely caught my attention and swayed me to consider their career as a possible career in the future. So and so if you can also take some time to, if you did answer in the chat, or if you can just ponder it to yourself right now, think, have your answers been similar or have they changed drastically? Um, I think in the past my answers were drastic. They dealt with different things. You know, the veterinarian role would be something that's very scientific, very science focused, anatomy focused, as opposed to, you know, travel where there's not really a lot of science and there's more of experiential and it's more of a media based role. Um, so if you can just kind of ponder that, that's going to give you some hints into your psyche when what you think about when you think about careers. If you want to share in the chat, please go ahead and feel more than welcome to do that. But if not, that's okay. We are going to continue along. All right, sorry about that. I need to slow down with my clicking. All right, so let's talk about defining some terms. So these are terms where I want to make sure that everybody understands the differences. We're going to be talking about defining a job, an occupation, the term career, and also the term profession. So let's begin with a job. A job is a specific position you hold within an organization or within an agency. An occupation is generally the term used to refer to a number of jobs that are done with similar characteristics, meaning they have things in common. A career can be thought of as a lifelong journey of building and making use of skills, knowledge, and experiences. A profession typically refers to a path that mandates individuals have specialized skills or knowledge. Oftentimes, professions require education, certification, and licensing. So this is how the profession can vary very much so from the other terms that we have here. So in continuing, we're actually going to take a moment to pose a question to the group. So in the previous slide, we actually asked, I just went over what separates a profession from the other terms. So if you can answer what professions require, then we can go ahead and talk about the gift card. So I'm actually going to pass this on to Matt.
Yeah,
so he can go ahead and take us through
sorry.
this.
Hi, Jessica. It's me, Matt. I'm trying to figure out how to highlight myself, spotlight myself. 1 second.
There you go, Matt.
There we go. Thank you. So we do have our first question, and the first question, when you're ready to respond, just put it in the chat, and the first response that we see that's correct will win our first gift card. And the question is, professions often require what 3 things? Professions often require what 3 things?
We'll take a sneak back and then we'll go back.
Just waiting to see who's going to answer this question first. Perfect. We have a winner. Isabella, you are correct.
All right, perfect. We have our first winner. Yes, that is correct. Professions often require three things, and that is education, certification, and licensing. Good job, Isabella. All right, everybody, we are going to move on. So we are going to start talking about career planning. Career planning is what is identifying what we as individuals are good at. Career planning entails viewing how our skills and talents and interests translate and relate to the world of work. And career planning also entails where to find that work that matches our talents, matches our interests, and our skills. Career planning is a process. It's a process and it's a journey. So just like as if you were going on a trip, perhaps with friends or with family, and you plan for that trip, you think, what do I need to take? What do I have with me to take to my trip? Where am I going on my trip? Do I need to take a raincoat? Do I need to take an umbrella? Or do I need to just take swimming trunks and light clothes? Those are all things that you think of and you consider and you plan for your trip depending on where you're taking your trip or your journey to. So likewise, career planning entails that same planning process. It's a journey. You're trying to get to a destination, but career planning is not about the destination. It is about the journey and knowing what skills you possess in your luggage, right? That's what we put in our luggage is our skills because we're going to take them with us. Also knowing your talents and your interests. You're going to need to know exactly what to take to different agencies where you land during your career journey. So hopefully that metaphor kind of helped us understand what career planning is. Career planning is building your career. There is an emphasis in assisting people to become healthy, self-reliant citizens who are able to cope with constant change and also maintain a balance between work and life roles. Career planning is something that has changed over the years. In the past, career planning was focused more on set steps and procedures in helping people find one lifetime career. However, this concept is no longer relevant because in today's world of work, workers are more likely to hold as many as 25 different jobs in their lifetime. That's simply the new world of work. Today, when career planning, individuals must be flexible, meaning that they're willing to adapt to different circumstances that they may find themselves in. They must be open-minded, open to new ideas and new activities, and even new roles that may be new to the world of work. And they must be able to see opportunities for success, whether that opportunity is something that they planned and saw coming, or is something that caught them by surprise that they did not see coming. In the past, historically, when an individual worked with a career counselor or a career coach, the counselor would ask the client or the individual questions to help them find their destination, where they wanted to end up. And so a lot of times that question was framed such as, what would you like to do when you're out of school? What would you like to do after graduation? And the nature of this question it hints that one specific job or occupation is the goal, and that will be something that lasts for a lifetime. Historically, that was the case. However, in today's world of work, a career counselor would encourage a client not to focus too much on the destination, but to follow his or her heart um, by asking, who are you as an individual now? What are some of your talents? What are some of your skills? What are some of your interests that you have? How do you want to help your community? How do you want to, contribute to society? Um, and so once they answer that, they also ask the individual to answer the question, who needs what you can provide? What kind of agencies, what kind of organizations, what type of businesses are looking for employees that have what you can bring to the table? And that is the focus of modern career planning. So modern career planning has 4 principles, and we are going to look at those now. The first principle is that change is constant. One single occupation or one single role will no longer be the norm. It will not take us from the beginning to the end of our working lives. And thus, being adaptable is an important skill that we need to all develop and carry with us into the future as we progress on our career journey. The second principle is learning is ongoing. Graduating from high school or college doesn't mean that education is complete. There are opportunities to learn everywhere. Whether you have a current role right now in the world of work, or if you are not in the world of work, there are still opportunities for you to learn. And we're going to be exploring those later on in this presentation. The third principle is, like I've stated earlier, a focus on the journey. We all know that life is a journey. Identifying our purpose and destinations give us direction. And we need to pay attention to the journey with all its pitfalls and its sidetracks and highways to new destinations and opportunities. Because once again, we're focused on the traveling portion, how we navigate the world of work, because we're not all going to go just to one place. We're not all just going to work one role. And so that is the third principle. The fourth principle is accessing your allies. Usually when you think of just traveling, not for work, but just traveling in general, we don't ever tend to travel alone. We tend to go on summer vacations with family and friends. We tend to celebrate our special occasions, such as birthdays or anniversaries with family or friends. There are rarely times that we travel or take trips alone. And likewise, on your career journey, you're not going to be alone. So you need to remember to count on family and friends and teachers and neighbors and community members to help you along your journey. And they will always be willing and helpful allies when it comes to helping you judge or make a decision about what step you should take next in your career journey. We are going to be transitioning to perspectives of career mapping. So this is a little bit different from planning. This is a little bit more of a detailed approach. And traditionally, career mapping has been the process where an employer, so a boss, a superior, an HR manager, creates a method for an individual or an employee to advance within their own particular company. Creating a career map originally meant determining how you were going to navigate and climb the corporate ladder. It used to be in the past something that was clear and linear. If, for example, it could have meant that you worked in X department for so long, maybe you were in purchasing, and then you became a supervisor in the purchasing department. And then after being a supervisor in the purchasing department for so many years, let's say maybe 7, 10 years, then you maybe move on to work in another department that maybe carries a lot more weight than the purchasing department. This is how career mapping looked in the past. So now we're going to transition to the modern approach of career mapping. And so career mapping in today's modern times is planning that workers engage in to ensure that they have the necessary skills to advance in their careers, regardless of if their careers develop mainly at one company or at various companies and organizations. What does modern career planning look like now? Career paths are full of twists and turns as people navigate opportunities and develop capabilities that lead to new roles, often outside their current companies. So while in the past, career mapping entailed, once again, working up the career ladder within one company, in today's modern perspective, sometimes building your skills and building your abilities and gaining new skills will lead you to opportunities outside of your current company. Career mapping can heighten one's sense of readiness for increased responsibility and suggest new possibilities for a professional career. So as you all can see here, we have these lines here, and these all are visual representations of what modern career paths look like. They're not fully linear. Sometimes, you advance to a role, and then maybe you go on to a new company, which maybe has a mission that more aligns with your interests, but you start off at a lower position, and maybe with lower responsibilities. But then you since it's something that you're more interested in, you quickly learn that role, you quickly move your way up in that company, and you can do that a couple of different times. And that's what this wavy mountain-like line represents. There are other times, and this is something that may have happened to a lot of people during the pandemic, where you are set back, meaning that perhaps you were in a role, and because of layoffs or something out of your control, you actually had to take a step back in the world of work and find a role that was similar to something you had previously done, because you couldn't find a role similar to what you were currently doing. So you went backwards, you regressed just a little bit. So that's what this line represents. This line represents when you are somewhere in a position and you are going to move onward to a different department. So you're not necessarily going to go up in your department, but you've been transferred. You've had a ladder transfer. Maybe you worked in one department, and then you were asked to move in another department, and then it wasn't necessarily something that you wanted. It was something that you probably didn't have a choice in, but in that other department, you realize that you have more opportunities for advancement. So ultimately, it has more positive for you as an employee. And that's what this line here represents. This one can represent, sometimes in the world of work, there are people that work two roles. Sometimes people work one role to be able to, pay for their needs and necessities. But they're not necessarily looking to grow in that role. It's okay if they don't advance in that role. All the while they're doing that, they may also be working either part-time or in an internship role or something in a role that they're passionate about. They may or may not be getting paid, but they are looking to advance in that field. So this visual here shows us somebody who may be working two jobs, one that they're not particularly fond of. They're working it because they have the need to pay for things. So they're okay if they get set back in that role. And then they're doing another role where they are hoping to build their skills in that industry or in that sector or in that type of work. And so they are hoping to advance. So that's what this last visual tells us. So as you can all see, there's a lot happening in the world of work, in the modern world of work. Stuff is not simple, it's not linear, and everybody has a different journey, a different path that they are traveling on. We have here a career planning cycle, just a visual here, talking about the typical cycle of career planning. So it starts off with you as an individual assessing yourself, assessing your talents, assessing your interest, you know, and then it goes into exploring careers. Based on your talents and your interests, what type of role would you want to be in? What kinds of companies need your talents and your skills? That is what goes into exploring careers. Then we talk about creating a plan, setting small goals, expanding skills or expanding goals, saying, I want to end up in the social services field. I'm going to maybe try to find an internship or a work-based learning experience that allows me to explore that, and then setting goals. I am going to try to engage in at least one internship once a year. I am going to try to update my resume by myself, but if I need help, ask for help from maybe a parent or a teacher or a career coach. If I feel that, you know, expanding my skills, learning how to use different kinds of word processing software or different kinds of apps to help me build my skills, I'm going to do that so that I can land an internship somewhere that I really want to, and then really learn in real time what it means to work in that industry. And so that when we're doing that, the latter, that's when we're doing the last step, finding a role and a position. So that is the career planning cycle simplified. And so we are going to go ahead and take a moment for question 2. I am going to allow the panelists to join, one of the other panelists to join and pose the question for this second gift card opportunity.
Okay, so I'm having trouble. Okay, there. The spotlight feature is a bit harder than we thought. Okay, so we are gonna do a second question opportunity for all of our attendees. So the first one to respond in the chat box will get a gift card. And the question is name one of the steps in the career cycle planning. Name one of the steps in the career cycle planning. Isabel, but Isabel, didn't you already get a gift card? That's a good answer. Explore careers. but we're gonna see if we can give someone else an opportunity. But thank you for participating, Isabel. Alan says learning and assessing yourself. I'll accept the answer.
All right. Good job, Ian. Sorry. Good job, Alan.
Alan,
Yes. Alan, yes. Learning, yes. Learning definitely applies to assessing yourself and also exploring careers. Thank you, Alan. All right. Thank you all for participating. We are going to continue. So we're going to move on to talking about assessing yourself and looking inward. Assessing yourself means knowing yourself, your interests, so the things that you get excited about naturally, the things that naturally call your attention. It also means discovering your strengths, the things that you have a natural talent in, your skills, those things which you may have learned either through your education or through different experiences that you've had. So that's both hard skills, once again, that you may have learned in a formal setting, and also soft skills, the way that you interact and socialize with others, and also your values. Because correct, there are values that we bring with us when we interact with others, either in a professional space or in a non-professional space, but it's important that we understand our values, what is important to us. Okay. So now we're going to go into another poll. Yay, another poll. So if you guys can all just take a moment while the poll gets projected, I want you guys all to think about what are some of the skills that you possess. We all possess skills. So we are going to be projecting a poll. You should be seeing it popping up on your screen now. And once again, this is multiple choice. So please go ahead and select all the choices that you feel are applicable to you as an individual. Just to help here along, we're going to take about a minute or two to allow for responses. I'm going to just read some of them out loud, and so you can know that there are different options. One of the options is I can follow. I can take directions cheerfully and accurately. Another one is I can remember. I can recall names, places, figures, and ideas. I can learn. I turn mistakes into learning opportunities. I can listen. I listen closely to others. I am dependable. People trust me, and I have good attendance. I am cooperative. I volunteer to help and do my part on a team. I am cheerful. I am friendly to customers and coworkers. So we have quite a few different options there. I see that most of you all have participated already, but we are going to give about 10 more seconds. So if you haven't made some selections and you're here with us live, please go ahead and make your selections now. Okay, perfect. All right, now we are going to go ahead and close the poll, and we are going to share the results. All right, perfect. So as you look at your screen, we are now sharing the results. And as you can see, it seems that the most popular skills that the most people agreed that they possessed were two that were tied. And those were the skills: I can listen, I listen closely to others. I think that that's a great skill to possess, because we definitely need to be able to listen to our employers, but most importantly to our customers. so that we know how to best provide services to them. Definitely making sure that everybody feels like they're listened to and that their requests are honored and that their opinions are heard is very important in the world of work. Okay, and so in tying for that first spot was also the skill of I can learn. I turn mistakes into learning opportunities. Once again, another great skill to have. In the world of work, we're always learning. We're learning about ourselves as employees. We're learning about maybe different promotions or different services that our agencies and our employer may have or be bringing to the company. And we're learning how to better work to perhaps avoid mistakes and or how to handle mistakes that may happen in the world of work. Um, so that is great to see that those were the first two that tied for the first spot. It looks like we had a tie for second spot too. We had the skills I can follow, I am cooperative, and I am dependable, tying for second spot. And those are all, once again, very valuable skills to employers. And those are definitely skills that we should bring with us to the world of work, into our career journey. Okay, thank you all for participating. We are going to go ahead and stop sharing the poll results now, closing the polling, and proceed to the following slides. Okay, bear with me. All right, so we are going to transition to talking about, to further exploring or assessing ourselves. So I want to introduce you all to California Career Zone. And this is a website where if you haven't visited this website, I highly recommend that you do, because there's a lot of really cool and neat things that you can explore on this website. There are assessments that help you learn about your interests and help you also learn about different industries of the world of work and also different roles within the world of work. There are also financial literacy tools that help you explore budgeting your life so that when you do get a job, when you do land a role, you kind of have an idea of how to make sure that you're managing your money in your paycheck responsibly and that you're setting aside money to pay for some of your necessities, that you're setting aside some money to have fun with, and so forth, and still some to save. This website is also really cool because it offers personalized pathway recommendations for you as a student to explore. So if you actually take a look in the chat, you will see that we have posted the link. So if later today you want to go ahead and explore the website, I think that would be time well spent. Here I have included simply a screenshot of what the California Career Zone website homepage looks like. So you guys all have the link in the chat, but you can also simply Google it. And this is what the homepage will look like. One of the things that I recommend if you do go on and explore the California Career Site is for you to take 20 to 30 minutes out of your day to complete the Interest Profiler. And the Interest Profiler is an assessment tool online that helps us discover what our interests in. So once again, interests are those things that naturally call our attention based on what we like. And so this is something that asks you a number of detailed questions, but the questions have to do with preferences. The questions read something along the lines of, would you rather paint a cabinet, or would you rather help teach somebody to swim? So it's going to ask you scenarios like this to kind of gauge what you have more interest in, what type of work you have more interest in. So that is about 60 questions, so it can be lengthy, but if you invest into completing it, I think you definitely will get a lot of insight into your interest as an individual. When you do complete the interest profiler, you get results. Here on the screen, we see a screenshot of some examples of possible interest areas that an individual who completed the interest profiler received. So this particular individual was told by the profiler that their top 3 interests are social, conventional, and artistic. So that is where they had their highest scores. And each one of these interest areas has a different focus. So I'm going to briefly go over that. The social interest area is typically referring to occupations or roles in the world of work that frequently involve working with, communicating, talking with, and teaching people. These are typically the jobs or the roles that involve helping people and providing services to others. So that might be like being a teacher, being a social worker, being a coach. Those are all jobs that would most likely fall under the social interest category. Their second highest interest category was conventional. Conventional occupations frequently involve following set procedures and routine. These are typically job roles that include working with data and details more than abstract ideas. Usually in conventional job roles, there is a clear line of authority to follow. So something that may fall under a conventional role may be being a data analyst and analyzing data that's collected for different reasons, maybe for research, maybe by the county to determine how their programs are working in the community. But it's their jobs that have to do really a lot with looking at data, reading the information, and deducting a story from that information that can be helpful for different things. So that is the conventional interest category. And for this individual, it was their second spot category. Their third one was the artistic interest category. Artistic occupations or jobs frequently involve working with forms, designs, and patterns. Jobs that fall under the artistic interest category typically require a lot of creativity and self-expression, and it's work that is done without following a clear set of rules. So an artist that does different commissions, either for private individuals or for cities or businesses, and they have the freedom to, create as they like, that would fall under the artistic category. An interior designer who gets hired by somebody to either design a space, perhaps a home or perhaps a business, or decorate a space, once again, perhaps a home or perhaps a business, they have a lot of leeway in deciding how to creatively incorporate different forms for furniture and different designs and patterns also for furniture and for the wall coverings and so forth. So both of these, being an artist and being an interior designer, would fall under the artistic category. We're going to go ahead and cover the last 3 here. Enterprising. This category typically has jobs where starting and carrying out projects is something that is a big component of the job. So these occupations can involve leading people and making many decisions. Sometimes jobs under this interest category require risk-taking and often deal with business. So it could be something like a job role under enterprising interest could be perhaps being a pool technician and starting your own business where you are the main and only pool technician, and you're always going out to start working on different people's pools. You're always trying to convince people to make the decision to hire you to clean their pool. And so that would be something that falls under this category. Investigative occupations or jobs frequently involve working with ideas, and these often require an extensive amount of thinking. These occupations can involve searching for facts and figuring out problems mentally. So, an investigative job would it be actually being an investigator, either an investigator with a local police department employed by the city or employed by a county, or maybe even a private investigator, perhaps for an insurance company or just for public hire for the general public. But these jobs have to do with finding out facts and solving problems, and they do require a lot of mental capacity to be able to do that day in and day out. And last but not least, we have the realistic category. The realistic interest category deals with jobs which frequently involve work activities that include practical hands-on problems and solutions. Typically, this category has jobs that deals with plants, animals, and real world materials like wood, tools, and different machinery. Many of the jobs that fall under the realistic interest category require working outside and not being inside and having to do paperwork, but doing hands-on things. So maybe jobs such as a mechanic, a carpenter, a chemist, or a park ranger. Those would all be jobs or occupations that fall under the realistic interest category. All right, guys, thank you for bearing with me through that. I hope that that gave you guys all a good overview of how these different interests vary. And we are going to continue on to the next slide. So here we have a screenshot. So this particular individual in these screenshot examples, they took the interest profiler, they got their results that we just went over, and then they actually got quite a number of job titles, as we can see here on the left-hand side. Some of the titles that were suggested to them was training and development specialist, being a teaching assistant, being a nanny, being a teacher, being a clergyman or a clergy person, being a kindergarten teacher, being a probation officer, or being a political science teacher. You see a lot of different teaching titles here. And so that doesn't surprise us, because if we go back, we see that their top interest was the social one. And as you guys recall, social had to do with being able to communicate with people and teach people. So it's no surprise that their top one was social, and all of these titles that were suggested to them for jobs are very social in nature. In these roles, they would be always working with people. They would not be alone. So here in the screenshot, we see that the highest score that they got was 98. So this means that the interest profiler said, hey, there's a 98% match for this title. It's worth you exploring, because based on your interest, we think that it's highly likely that you're really going to enjoy this role. So that is what this screenshot is showing, so that you know, if you go on and do this, what it means when you see these titles and these scores to the right. And so the website interest and the interest profiler, they also, apart from giving you the titles that we just looked at, they also give you different information about that particular title. So this is just exploring the top one, the training and development specialist. It gives you insight into the annual salary, typically for roles such as these, typically how much openings there are for roles such as these. It talks a little bit about the job, what is the main role or function of somebody in this job title, and gives details a little bit more precise about what they do on a day-to-day basis during their week. What are the activities and responsibilities that an individual in this role has? So definitely something worth exploring. All right. And we are going to transition to talking about creating a career map. Creating a career map can be a bit challenging, and that is because it requires a significant amount of research and knowing all the opportunities for advancement for both an employer and an employee. So there is a way for you to make sure that you are mapping out your career, and that is by doing these 4 steps. While it does take time, it is something that you can do on yourself. You can write it out, and it includes these 4 steps. The first step is to determine a starting point. So if you know that you are more social and you want to go into a role where you have the opportunity to interact with others and maybe perhaps teach others, you want to start exploring what type of careers or job titles allow for that, and start exploring what is an entry level position. And these entry level positions are typically job roles that don't have a long list of requirements. They're small requirements. And so, for example, somebody who might be considering being a teacher, maybe they can start off by being a teacher or an assistant at a daycare center. That might be a starting point. You want to also determine a final goal. So this may be the highest available position where the map may end. Or it may be a career level up from the previous level. So somebody in this example that I'm giving that wants to be a teacher, perhaps they can start, like I said, being an assistant at a daycare or being a teacher at a daycare. But they may have the final goal of being a high school teacher or maybe even a professor, or they may even have a goal of becoming a business owner where they're able to provide different services to educators. The third step of trying to map your career is to identify how to connect the 2 points. So there are various ways of reaching goals, including training seminars, engaging in higher education, engaging in obtaining licenses, and more. So in this example, somebody who wants to be a teacher, perhaps in high school, they can start off by being a preschool teacher. And to do that, they only have to take 3 classes and get 12 credits at a community college. Those have to be credits in a specific coursework that's known as early childhood education. And so they can start there. But in order to move on to being a teacher in high school, they have to get their bachelor's degree. And then they also have to get a teaching credential. So in this example, the way that they're going to connect the 2 points is they're going to go to higher education to get licensing to move up in that career pathway. So the fourth and final thing is, while you're doing this mapping, you want to create a series of smaller goals within the 2 points. So maybe if somebody was doing this career map for themselves, their career map would be enter a community college, take my 4 courses, gain my 12 credits, gain my license to be a daycare teacher, land a daycare teaching role, be in that role for 2 to 3 years. That's another goal. In year 3, go back to school, and in year 3, 4, and 5, complete my bachelor's degree. Maybe in year 6, I complete my additional year of college, do my teaching credential, and then maybe in year 7 or 8, then I can start applying to high schools to be a teacher. So these are all how in this example, this individual is hitting all 4 of these points for the career mapping. And if they're able to progress through their career map in under a decade, and under 10 years, they'll have gone from their starting position to somewhere where they want to end up. They may end up there, they may not, but they have a clear map to follow. And because they're adaptable, I'm confident that they'll be able to see, hey, this is going to take longer. Maybe I should pivot and try this role for a little while and see if that if that works out a little bit better, if I like that better. So there's a lot to consider here, but definitely this is something that you can do. If you are a young student, a high school student, a college student, there are going to be work experience opportunities that you can engage in to really just get a lot of exposure to, creating a career map for yourself, and also talking to other people about how they navigated their own careers and what their career maps look like. So when thinking about your career map and your career journey, where is a good place to start? So typically, most people's first jobs are in restaurants, grocery stores, or retail establishments. Typically, these jobs pay a minimum wage that they are required to pay a certain amount per hour. Each state has a different minimum wage depending on the cost of living. Here in California, currently, our minimum wage is $14 an hour. And in January of 22, it will become $15 an hour. But just because it's minimum wage, there are, in fact, companies that hire above minimum wage. And so, when you're considering different positions, you want to consider your ability to grow and gain skills at an organization. So when you're young, that really should be the focus. What am I going to learn here that I can build on, and that's going to help me progress in a positive manner in my career journey? So everybody has work experience. Maybe you've already had a job. Maybe if you have and you want to go ahead and share that with us in the chat box, I welcome you to. Some of the jobs that I had when I was in high school and in college when I was young, I worked at a water park here in Sacramento during the summer. I worked delivering pizzas as a delivery driver. I also worked at a retail store selling women's clothing and shoes. And I also worked at a grocery store. And so I did a lot. So there is definitely a lot of different things that I learned about interacting with clients in all four of those different spaces. And so everybody has to start somewhere. And I want you guys to keep in mind when you guys are entering the world of work, or if you're already in the world of work, to really focus on what you can learn in different roles. So this is a career mapping template. This is kind of what we previously just went over, but it's laid out in text so that if you want to go ahead and make your own career map, this is the way that you go about writing it out. You can write this out on paper or write it out on your computer. And just like we went over the steps, you start off with a starting point. You want to go ahead and know what it means. What do you need to start off at that point? So, maybe include the full job description, bulleting some of the requirements. So for the example that I gave for the daycare teacher, the main points were that you needed 12 credits, college credits in early childhood education, and that you need to be a social person. You need to interact well with children because that's what you do in that role, and so forth. And then we had different goals. The goal was to get our 12 credits of education, become a daycare teacher. Our second goal was to work at the daycare for maybe 1 or 2 years. And then our third goal was to go back to higher education, get our BA, get our teaching credential, and then apply for the roles that we wanted. So the high school teaching roles. With the end goal of being either a high school teacher, maybe even later on transitioning to something else, perhaps maybe the university level, but that would require more schooling. So this is what it looks like written out. So this is an example of the map filled out. This is, however, an example for an administrative assistant, not the teacher, as we've previously been covering. But they kind of talk about their starting role, where they would want to be to start off with. They talk about, they write the requirements. So in this particular role, the person would need an associate's degree, and they'd have to have an outgoing personality. And then they wrote 3 goals for this position. So they wrote that they would work in that position for at least 3 continuous years. And then during their time in this position, they would discover and implement at least one way to improve customer service at the company where they were. And then they also wrote the goal of attending one training on the principles of management so that they can learn what it takes to be a manager or to be in management. And finally, their end goal was to become an assistant office manager. So they wanted to go from being an assistant, administrative assistant, to being the assistant office manager. So that is a career map. And that is something that you can take the time to write for yourself. You can take the time to write it for yourself. You can ask your friends and family for input as you write it. If you have a teacher or you have a job coach that you're working with, you can definitely ask them for their input as well as you write your own career map. When you are writing your career map, you need to be mindful of changing landscapes. There are times where you need to set goals that are realistic. So instead of saying something along the lines of, get promoted to a manager in my company by the time I'm 30 or 40, you can set a goal that's a little bit more wide and say, learn and apply to new skills in a professional setting by the time I'm 30. You want to, in the new world of work with the changing landscape, really make your goals more general. Instead of stating you want to be a manager in your company, you can state that you want to be a manager in a professional setting. You want to make sure that when you are career mapping, particularly when operating under the modern perspective, that you identify your good skills and you turn them into great ones by really putting in hard work. You want to make sure that you take some time to brainstorm and think about things you can do to further develop your abilities. You want to define what success means to you. Does it mean starting a business? Does it mean having an impact on people in need? And you want to make sure that you are networking as much as you can. We are going to take a time to do the final question and then transition into the work-based learning part and the last part of today's presentation. So I'm going to invite the panelists to come on.
Okay, hello. Okay, our next question for our gift card, and you can use the chat feature to put your response, is name one of the 4 career mapping strategies. So it was what we just talked about. And we have a winner, Ian. Thank you. Taking a step forward every day. That is correct.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for engaging. Good job, Ian. All right, moving on. We're going to be talking about work-based learning experiences. So we're going to be exploring job shadowing, informational interviewing, internships, volunteering, and also work experiences. So we're going to start off with job shadowing. What is job shadowing? Job shadowing is a type of experiential learning. And so that is learning through experience. And it involves the opportunity to observe a working professional through their typical workday or work week. This is through direct observation. You are going to learn important information that's going to help you make a career decision, such as deciding what major you're going to have when you go to college, what kind of occupation you want to prepare for, or what type of industry in the world of work you want to work in. Job shadowing is something that can be done in person or virtually, and it's sometimes referred to by this term in externship. Job shadowing is a good way to find out more about careers with minimal time commitment. Job shadowing can occur at various stages of one's career development. You can job shadow even if you currently are employed. Job shadowing is done to explore new career directions. Where is it that you find somebody to shadow? Well, you can ask somebody that you already know in your career, or somebody who is in a career of your choice. So if you think you want to be an interior designer, or you think you want to be a teacher, you can ask somebody who's already an interior designer or a teacher. You can ask your parents if they know anybody that works in your career of choice. Maybe they know a teacher or an interior designer. Your school career center may have contacts that may be helpful to you. The thing to note, though, is that you must ask the person for the opportunities to spend some time with them. So this is one way that you can ask, is you can ask them to shadow them either in person, or you can go ahead and ask them through email. And this is the most common way to ask. Here we have a sample of a job shadowing request email. We are going to be posting this example as a PDF in the chat, and we will also be making it available to attendees, so that if you want to go ahead and ask somebody via email, you can go ahead and follow this example to go ahead and ask them if they're willing to let you observe them during their work hours. We have another example. This is yet another example of how you can email somebody and ask them to shadow them. These examples include making sure that you introduce yourself, where, kind of your student status, whether you're in high school or you're in college, letting them know a little bit about why you're interested in their career, and also you can disclose how you got their information, whether you got it from maybe your school teacher, or maybe you found it on a website. You want to go ahead and let them know how you found their info. And also let them know that you would be grateful for the opportunity to observe them, whether it's a full day or a half day. If you happen to ask and they tell you no, that's okay. The chances are you probably are going to get turned down a couple of times before somebody says yes. Don't get discouraged if that happens. There is also a way that you can respond to when somebody tells you no, and keep in mind that eventually you will get a yes. A lot of times professionals really like to talk about what they do, and they really feel honored when younger individuals or people that are starting off in their career journey reach out to them for help, because they kind of empathize and look back to when they were starting out and how much they would have appreciated the opportunity themselves. If you do have somebody that allows you to job shadow, you want to make sure that you come prepared with questions so that you're making good use of the time that you are spending with that person. If you have a career coach from school or some kind of community program that you're involved with, you can help them to help you draft the list of potential questions. The day of your job shadow experience, you want to dress professionally as if you were going to an interview, because you're going to be showing up at somebody's place of work. The day of your experience, you don't want to be shy. You want to ask questions. and you want to aim to try to observe them on a typical day of work, not when they have like special meetings or anything of that sort. You want to try to get the typical work day. I'm sorry that I'm starting to go through these a little bit faster, but know that this will be made available. These are some questions that you can ask. You can also reach out to us for these questions if this is something you want to explore. We are going to continue. A job shadow is something that varies in time, but typically a student spends between either an hour or half a day on a work site when they are job shadowing somebody. And the most important thing to keep in mind is that you come away from that experience with information that really helps you paint a better picture of what a career in that field would look like. If you cannot do on-site visits for whatever reason, maybe perhaps the employer doesn't allow non-employees to physically be on the site, you can conduct either a telephone interview or a teleconference Zoom interview, and that's still going to allow you to get information and insight. After the job shadow experience, you want to go ahead and make sure that you write a thank you letter to the person who you observed. It's important that you thank them for all the time and energy that they invested in hosting you for this opportunity. We have included a sample thank you email. If you want to go ahead and receive this, please go ahead and email YLF so that you can get this as well. Sorry, that's a repeat slide. All right, what is informational interviewing? So informational interviewing is something that's similar to job shadowing, but there is a focus over gaining information about the current or regional occupational landscape and other career information that is from an insider's point of view. So this is where you're asking very specific information. You may or may not go and observe them in person, but you're still trying to get all the specific information from one individual. These are some reasons why you may want to participate in either a job shadowing opportunity or an informational interview. And so that can be, once again, to get valuable information for yourself and for your career planning. It can be to help increase your interviewing skills by discussing yourself, talking about your interests and your skills. And, talking about yourself can be a little nerve-wracking. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you will get with doing that. And then it can be also to ask for referrals. Ask them to give you the name and contact information of other people who you may be able to connect with. Moving on to internships. What is an internship? An internship is once again, another form of learning through experience, and it integrates knowledge and theory that we learned at school in the classroom with practical application. So this is an opportunity for us to take all that we've learned in our schooling and our different courses and actually put it into practice in a real life setting. And so typically internships are hosted by employers who are able to guide and evaluate the talent of a student who becomes their either paid employee or their volunteer. Most internships take place during the summer when most students are out of school, but many are also available throughout the year. Internships can be through private organizations. They can be hosted by government offices, or they can also be hosted by nonprofit organizations. Internships can be both paid, where you receive a check for your time there, and they can also be unpaid. And sometimes they can include getting school credit for your involvement in that internship. Other times, no school credit is granted. But this is a big and popular component of an internship, is getting school credit for it, because you're learning a lot while you're there. There are different ways that you can go about finding internships. And so that may be exploring your career center on your school campus. That might entail scheduling an appointment with a career advisor. It can include also engaging in career assessments or reviewing your school's career center website. A lot of times they promote internships and other opportunities on school websites. You can also engage in online research to try and find an internship, along with your school's own site for their career center, or perhaps if they have an alumni network, you can go ahead and look there. But there are also some popular sites such as Google, which is a search engine where you can type find an internship into the search engine. It's going to find internships near you. Glassdoor is also a platform where you can search and find internships. Internships.com, Idealist, a website called CoolWorks, Jobs in Great Places, and also LinkedIn are all online sites or searches where you can log on to and search for internships. We're moving on to the last component of this work experience section, and that is paid or unpaid work experience, also sometimes called on-the-job training. Work experiences can be helpful for those with little to no experience, helping them to gain skills and knowledge they need to begin their career journeys. So we're going to go ahead and explore that. There are many work experience processes that exist throughout the state of California, and they exist thanks to provisions made by local workforce development programs. Oftentimes, work experience programs are set up to help students, young people, and those who may not have career direction find their place in the world of work. These programs typically connect participants with employers that teach them how to fulfill a role or execute a particular job. Sometimes work experience programs are also known as wage subsidized work experience, in which individuals receive pay at either the minimum wage or slightly higher while participating in the program. Typically to help a participant get their foot in the door, so land that initial role. Some work experience programs also provide additional support services and technical training classes to help participants improve their skills. Who can benefit from work experience programs? So typically work experience programs serve high school students, college students, and even those who are not enrolled in schooling. The main focus of the work experience programs is to help individuals gain entry or an entry-level role into industries that sometimes they have trouble getting into. While typically an internship takes place in connection to an academic program or an educational institution, work experiences can be an option for individuals who may not be in school and may not have a career path that's defined quite yet. So there are different ways that somebody can get involved in a work experience program. Many local governments provide workforce development agencies that are in charge of running work experience programs that offer short-term training, career counseling, work experience placements, and post-placement support. There are a number of agencies nationwide and a number of them here in California that provide these forms of services. So we have a website here which has a listing of all the local workforce development boards here in California. And so you can, if you're interested in exploring a work experience program, you can go ahead and visit the site and explore or find the one that's in your local county, in your local county, and look at their work experience programs. This is a good place to start exploring this option. There are also resources available at different schools. So we have Workability 1 and Workability 4 that are offered in different college campuses. So whether you're a high school student or a college student, there is a Workability program that you may be able to reach out to in order to explore work experience programs. We're coming up to our last question opportunity for gift cards. And I am going to go ahead and pass it on to the panelist. All right, Johnny, looks like you're muted.
Whoops. Sorry. Thank you, Jessica. All right, so it is time for our final gift card question. We will be looking at the chat for the answers. The question is, how do you find an internship or a work experience program? How do you find an internship or work experience program?
So how do you find an internship or work experience program? It's a great question. So go ahead, and if you think you know the answer to how do you find an internship or a work experience program, please go ahead and put your answer in the chat box.
A hint will be you could use different websites. So if you could name one of the websites on how to find an internship or work experience program.
All right, if anybody has an answer, please go ahead and put it in the chat box.
We're still waiting for an answer. It could be a link or maybe somewhere you could go on campus to find an internship or work experience program. Any ideas? If not, we could just move on and save the gift card until the end. Let's give you guys about 30 more seconds.
All right. Well, maybe we just move on right now and we'll come back to that one later. Thank you, Johnny.
Yeah, so some of the answers we were looking for were Google or Glassdoor or visiting your career center on your college campus, but that's okay. We're gonna save this gift card for the end of the workshop. So there'll be one more opportunity. Thank you, Jessica.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Johnny. All right. So, how can we gain experience outside of internships and work? So, employers are interested in any experience that allows you as an individual to develop skills that are relevant and useful in a workplace. So, there are other ways you can gain experience. And so, those ways are listed here. We have volunteering, and we're going to explore that shortly. We also have engaging in personal projects or entrepreneurship. So maybe developing a short film, maybe starting a small business, building a computer, or writing a popular blog. Those are all ways that you can develop skills that may be useful to an employer. You can also engage in service learning. So service learning is something that you can engage in through different programs that may be available at your school or through different programs that are available in the community. And that is essentially when you are part of a group and you guys all have a common goal. Most typically, I think that most people participate in service learning at their school campus, and they get credit for doing a project. Most commonly, that's senior project in high school or service learning in college. Some service learning projects that I know some people have engaged in has been like beautifying a local park, raising awareness about the importance of recycling, and different sorts of things that benefit the community. Being involved in your school campus is another way to build skills. Maybe joining leadership on campus, maybe helping a club that you're involved with recruit new members, or think about events that can be held at the campus that really bring awareness to issues that those on campus may face. So definitely these are 4 different ways that you can gain and develop skills for the world of work that are found outside of working a job or completing an internship. So volunteering can be thought of as a career development through community service. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics defines a volunteer as somebody who does unpaid work through or for an organization. Whether you're a student interested in gaining experience or a working professional considering changing careers or changing roles, volunteering is an avenue worth investigating. In addition to providing service to your community and donating your time, you can experience a lot of different things through volunteering. And that is being exposed to different careers at the organization where you volunteer at. That is also meeting a lot of different professionals that you can keep in touch with and network over the years. And that also can entail learning new skills. Perhaps if you're volunteering somewhere in an office, a new skill that you can learn is how to use Excel, which is a program on a computer. And so for those who are currently not working or want to gain more skills to try to land a role in a different industry, volunteering can be a helpful way to stay current with your skills and even help fill gaps on your resume. What makes volunteering different from unpaid internships? While it's true that both can be rewarding and help you build your resume, there is a difference. A volunteer position usually includes an element of community service, meaning that the time that you are donating is having a positive impact on the community. And during an internship, the time that you are engaging is mostly having a positive impact solely on you and building your skills. And also, it's having a positive impact on the organization, but not necessarily always the community at large. So here we have our last poll question as we near the end of this presentation today. Please go ahead and take a look at your screen and tell us where you have recently volunteered. There are quite a few options, so please go ahead and look at your screen. The poll will be launched shortly. There we go. We have a few different options noted. We have a food bank, a school, a community event, a local animal shelter, your neighborhood. We also have the option to know if you haven't volunteered anywhere yet. That's also an option. All right. Gonna allow a couple more seconds. Please go ahead and look at the poll and select which one most applies to you. Where have you volunteered lately? Alrighty. We can go ahead and close the poll now and go ahead and view the results. So it looks like there's pretty much a tie for first place. So it looks like the most common places where individuals have volunteered has been at school. And so for a lot of students, that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon. A lot of times you spend most of your time at school or at school events. So it's not uncommon that that's the #1 place where most people volunteer. The second one is a community event. A community event. So that can be something that's taking place in the community, given that these are often advertised on radio on radio, on television, even on social media. It's not surprising that that's also a top option for attendees here. I know that locally here in Sacramento, a community event that garners a lot of volunteers is the Thanksgiving Run to Feed the Hungry. So that's not surprising either. All right. Thank you all for engaging. Let's go ahead and continue our presentation. So here we have talking about finding a match for volunteering. There are different things that you need to consider when finding a match for where to volunteer. And that is, how much time do you have to donate to volunteering? During the week and during the month, how much time can you engage in a volunteer experience? You need to consider what specific days and times you are available so that you can make sure to keep that commitment. How can you help your community through the application of your existing skills? Volunteer organizations often have specific needs, and helping them fulfill their goal is a good place to start. You can go ahead and try to find a volunteer match by visiting different sites online. These sites include idealist.org, 1-800-volunteer.org, and also Volunteer Match. These sites allow you to search for posted volunteer job descriptions by type of volunteering service requested, a location, and keywords. There are also government agencies and websites that provide a lot of information about volunteering at your local, state, and national level. Some of these sites include volunteeringinamerica.gov, serve.gov, and volunteer.gov. I would suggest that you, if you have an interest in volunteering, that you visit some of these sites listed here. If you are on social media, a lot of organizations locally like to advertise volunteering opportunities on their social media accounts. So if you find an organization's page either on Facebook or Instagram or even LinkedIn, which is a professional networking platform, it's a good idea to hit the follow button so that when they share opportunities, you see those. We're going to be moving on to our final topic of today, and that is LinkedIn. What is LinkedIn and how do you use it? LinkedIn is the world's largest professional network on the internet. You can use LinkedIn to find the right job or internship, or also connect with professionals and learn skills to succeed in your career. You can access LinkedIn from a desktop computer. You can either also access it from a mobile application that's either on your smartphone or on your tablet at home. So there are many different options for accessing LinkedIn. This is a screenshot of the LinkedIn homepage, just as an example of what to be on the lookout for. Networking is something that happens on LinkedIn, and it is the focus of the website. A conversation on LinkedIn starts through connecting, and connecting always begins with a message. The message feature on the LinkedIn site is a running chat box. And so you can always feel free to go in and, send a chat, hello. You want to be able to remember to keep it professional. Hello there, how are you doing? Thanks for connecting is a good sample message to send out. There are 2 samples of different networking outreach messages that you can send out, whether you're trying to connect with somebody who you've already met, perhaps at an event, or if you're trying to connect with somebody who you've never met and it's kind of like a cold call. And so those are the ones that we have here. So if you've already met somebody, you can go ahead and send a quick chat saying hello. It was great meeting you at the event last week. I really enjoyed our conversation about your work or about your project. I hope that we can collaborate soon. I'd love to introduce you to some of my contacts, or you can ask for a lot of different things at the end there. You can say, I'd love to introduce you to some of my contacts, or I'd love to shadow you, or I'd love to learn about internships that your agency may have, and then close it off by signing your name. If you have never met the person, you might want to go with this latter option. And so here we can see that it says, hello, I recently attended your job talk event at Franklin, and I wanted to thank you for sharing your valuable expertise. I particularly appreciated your insight on using social media as a professional networking tool. Would you please help me build my professional network by accepting my invitation to connect? I would enjoy to stay connected with you as I continue to develop my career plan. Thank you. So these are 2 different ways that you can go ahead and reach out and establish connections with a professional who you may have already met or who you have not met in person, but you're hoping that they may be able to help you in some way through your career journey. So I have one final thing to share with you all, and this is about learning new skills online. This is an example of my local city here in Sacramento, California, of an online learning resource found on a website for our city's library page. So, if you are a student, but you don't know if you want to continue your education or you're currently in school, but you want to explore different types of classes, which you may not be able to take those classes in your current major, you can always go online and learn new skills online. There's different platforms that offer short period courses online that are self-paced, meaning that you can engage however long you want, when you want. It's kind of on demand for you. So 2 of these places where you can engage, and they are available, online. You don't have to be a member of the SAC library, although here in SAC we do have that access for free. So you might want to check with your own local library to see if they also have that access for free. And those two are Knowledge City and Gale courses. So these are online programs that are taught by college instructors. They're taught by professionals in the different industries of the world of work, and they're self-paced, meaning that they are PDF based, where you can download PDFs and follow along reading those PDFs, clicking the links to open videos, and also engaging in the online chat boards at your own pace. So whether you need to engage only once a week or twice a week or 4 days out of the week, you have the opportunity to decide how you engage. And at the end, when you complete 6 chapters on various topics, you are granted a certificate that you can print out stating that you completed that course and you learned all about that topic. Some courses involve courses in real estate, courses in healthcare, courses in languages, courses in exploring different careers and different industries. So you can kind of like virtually shadow a mechanic or virtually shadow a nurse. So there are different things. So if you live in Sacramento, this might be something you want to check out. If you live in another city, in another county in California, you definitely want to go ahead and visit their online pages and see what kind of access you can get. And so that brings us to the end of our presentation today. Here are some final thoughts to share with you all. I want you guys all to be proactive in deciding what you want in terms of a career. Where do you want to start your career journey? Where do you want to start your career map? And I want you guys all to be mindful to not put all your eggs in one basket, because more often than not in this modern world of work, you're going to have to pursue multiple opportunities. It's important while you are on your career journey that you don't compare yourselves to others. Everybody's on their own path, going at their own speed, but still everybody's making progress and sometimes taking detours and then finding their way back on the path. So everybody is different, but you just have to be committed to your career journey. And it is important that you know your strengths, who you are, and where you are planning to go. And that brings us to the end of our presentation here. Thank you all for your time today. Thank you for your participation in the polls. I have really enjoyed being here virtually with you all. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back on to one of the panelists. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for your really insightful and informational presentation. We really appreciate you. We want to say thank you to SETA, as well as our YLF state partner in the Employment Development Department, for assisting us in putting this program together for you today. We want to thank all of our attendees for joining us. We want to thank our text captioners, our ASL interpreters. We want to thank the Post-YLF Activities Workgroup for putting together this effort. And we look forward to connecting and engaging with all of our alumni at our next workshop, which will possibly be scheduled for sometime in August. So stay tuned to our social media pages, your email inboxes for more information about how to stay connected with YLF and YLF activities after YLF. If you have any questions or thoughts that you'd like to share with us about this presentation or any upcoming presentations, don't hesitate to email our email address at ylf@dor.ca.gov. Again, that's ylf@dor.ca.gov. And we can share those resources and templates that Jessica mentioned today, as well as let you know of other information we have for upcoming events. With that, we'll let you all have the afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Thank you.